Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League of Europe YouTube channel for round 15 of the Formula 2 season. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Commentalist. I'll be taking you through proceedings in Formula 2 as always. And as always, joining me in the commentary box on a Tuesday night is QVR Daka. Daka, how are you this evening?
Thank you very much, Aidan. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Yes, I'm doing it very well, and of course, deeply looking forward to this 15th round of the season. Only 4 more to go, so we are getting right into the sharp end of it, and it means the championship may well be crowned. Well, the champion may well be crowned very soon, which is why we are joined by, certainly I'd say, the favourite for the championship now, and of course the reigning champ of the Formula 2 League. It is Mr. Toxic MML. How are you, man?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. How are you?
Aiden's already asked me that. I'm
well,
alright.
Say it again.
Oh, brilliant. Anyway, yeah, obviously for those of the people that didn't watch the attempted first attempt at the Australian round, we obviously had you in for that before obviously Codemaster servers went down, and before the season started you said that you thought the championship was going to be incredibly close between yourself and the Trident cars. It looks, and I honestly thought it was going to look like that from the start of the season as well, but actually so far throughout the entire season your closest championship rival up until this point has been Larkin. So has that really kind of shocked you this season?
Oh, it was very surprising. I think it was the first round where he was like, I think he qualified second, and I was like, what? Like, where's Lewis? Where's Verstappen?
Yeah.
Like, and it was quite surprising. And obviously he took the championship lead quite early, and that it did shock me quite a bit because obviously we were teammates last season, and his pace has increased quite a bit since then.
Yeah, coming to you again. Your championship lead has extended quite significantly over the last few rounds. It now stands at 94 points. Obviously, it's not going to be wrapped up tonight, but when you're racing at this point, are you thinking about the championship, or are you just focusing one race at a time? And I know this is an age-old question for anyone in sports, but are you just focusing, making sure that you're putting the races together, and then just seeing how the championship unfolds just later on once the dust has settled after a race?
It's in the back of my mind, but the most important thing really is qualifying. I think that's one of the things I focus most on this season, maybe at the expense of race pace, but once I get qualifying right, I seem to be in a much better position. I can kind of relax and be more comfortable in the race. But no, the championship isn't really, until I know that I can win it at a round, it's at the back of my mind for now.
Alright.
And that kind of worries me that you say that you focus on qualifying pace at the extent of race pace, because speaking of your race pace this season, it has been astonishing, really. The start of the season, I'd say, you would agree with me as well, that you probably weren't at your best form at the start of the season, but probably since, well, I'm trying to think, probably the first time that you really shone, I'd probably say was Canada, was the first time it started really going for you, it started really going your way. And I think, obviously, you have the most wins this season as well. Looking back at the start of the season, though, there were a few rounds, I think you mentioned them before the stream started as well, and a few rounds like the Netherlands and Vietnam that didn't really go as you'd planned. Do you look back on those with regret now, or do you just kind of deal with it, move on, and think about the next race?
I feel like just brush it under the carpet, forget about it. I feel like if I was under more threat from the championship, I would definitely be like shooting myself in the foot, thinking about I had an easy win in the Netherlands, bottled I think the penultimate lap or the final lap. That was quite embarrassing. And then a couple of rounds where I had been crashed into, or had Dan come out of nowhere, and in Vietnam at the hairpin.
I remember that.
But no, I'm happy with how the season's gone since I think rounds 8 or 7, since my final bottle.
And are you, of course, we know now for F2 that the schedule may be changing around a little bit. Are you planning, if you do end up winning this title, or if somehow things turn around for the worse and you lose it, no matter what happens, are you planning on continuing on racing next season? That's going to, I think, going to happen. I think we're safe to say that now, and move forward and just try and launch another championship campaign next year.
Yeah, definitely. Luckily, I'm not racing PSGO anymore, so I have more free time Monday to Thursday. So whatever day they choose to do it, I'll hopefully be there. And looking out for a certain XL Lando, because he seems rapid.
Yeah, I was actually just going to mention that XL Lando obviously joined a little bit late on in the season, and he's, in terms of raw speed, he's definitely been the closest to you. And obviously going into next season, do you see him being your closest championship rival?
Definitely. I'm gonna say there are a couple people that I'm thinking of, but definitely Lando. I mean, in time trial and in the race and on penalties, he's amazing. His pace is great. So it's going to be hard to do as well as I've done this season with him coming for the championship. But we'll see what we can do.
Brilliant stuff. Well, we're going to end off there because we are bang on 7 o'clock, so we'll let you get off and get ready for qualifying. Obviously, I don't want you to ruin your qualifying this time round. But quickly before you go, obviously it's very likely you're going to win the championship. At which round would you like to win the championship? Which track would be your favourite round to win at?
I think Mexico. It's got a place in my heart after winning there last season. I think I won there last season. So, yeah, Mexico is the goal.
Brilliant. So have you got anything to add, Dakar, or are we finito?
I think that's all from us. Thank you very much, Toxic, and best of luck for tonight.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and see if you can break the curse that we've given to everyone else. So that was Toxic, obviously our championship leader, current championship leader, and very likely to win the championship this season now. Speaking of the championship itself, we'll have a look through the point standings then, just before we get ready for qualifying here at the US of A. 528 points total is what Toxic has. We're talking about 4 or 5 rounds ago, Larkin was in the lead of the championship. After Larkin's first DNS of the season, last time out in Japan, the championship lead is now 94 points. What a swing it has been in the last 3 rounds of the championship. Larkin's now only 44 points ahead of the battle for third, so it's actually more of a battle for second now. Can Verstappen and Campbell close in on Larkin and take second place in the championship? Verstappen holds on to third ahead of his teammate Campbell, who's in fourth, and 17 points max, who's lost a few points in the last round. Next, in 5th in the championship, 69 points behind Campbell, is Zaunama. He's ahead of Chill, who still runs in 6th after, again, a little bit of an unlucky round last time out in Japan. They are 85 points clear of Pease, who is again not here tonight. So his battle he was looking on for a shot at maybe 5th in the championship. He's not been here for the last 2 rounds and isn't here again tonight. So that kind of run's come to an end for him. He's now being caught from behind by XL Lando, who's up to 8th already, having only done 5 rounds this season. He's 8th in the standings. He's ahead of Alt Maverick, who's in 9th, and Miami rounds off the top 10 in the championship. And looking at the championship standings, I mean, we say this every week, there's kind of a real split in the field as to the lead of the championship, the battle for 2nd and the battle for 5th. Which battle do you see being the closest for the rest of the season?
I think the one that I'm most excited for is still that battle between the 2 Trident cars. They've been, if you keep watching the points there, especially in the second half of that season, it's been incredibly close and actually swinging back and forth there. It's been sort of like a pendulum. So I'm really excited to see how that battle just ends up and the fate in it. Of course, we only have 4 rounds left, and things so tight. Only 17 points in it, and they both have an outside chance of catching Larkin as well. So we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, I'm definitely looking at those 2 Tridents, see if they can shine in the end of the season.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what they can do. Their form's been on the up recently as well. You have to say, kind of similar to Toxic in a way, that their start of the season was a little bit lackluster for what we expected really from the Trident cars, but the second half of the season has been much, much stronger for them, especially Campbell. Campbell starts the season was a bit of a struggle for him, wasn't he? They were both really struggling, especially in braking zones. That's where they were really losing out to the drivers around them, and they now seem to have got on top of that. So at this point, it looks like their run of form's kind of similar to Toxic in a way, that their points aren't too dissimilar over the past 2 rounds. So do you see QVR, the Trident team, coming back again next season for a proper run at the championship?
Certainly. I think it took them a little bit of time to really get used to the handling of the cars, and we'll have a better shot of them being adapted to it all season. I believe One Shot Quali is about to get out the way, so I'll leave you to it to take us through the laps.
Here we go then. It's a wet qualifying, so one of the only wet qualifyings we've had this season around USA. So remember, full wet tyres, no intermediate tyres in Formula 2, and it doesn't look that wet. It looks very much like intermediate conditions. We're on board with XL Lando as he heads up the hill towards turn 1. Just looking at practice times, Lando and Toxic have been incredibly close in this past week in terms of practice, so look out for them to be battling throughout this entire round. Lando then through down the hill through turn 2 and then into this S's section based off of the Maggots and Beckett section at Silverstone. There's a lot of corners at this track based off of other corners around the world. Through the rest of the first sector, as Larkin's retired from the session, so he might have invalidated pretty early on. Very to do in these conditions. Through the first sector, 33.1 from Lando. He's currently running in third place. It's once again Toxic right at the front of the field, but Verstappen, master of the wet conditions, has been fast in the wet conditions all season long, is currently right at the front of the field as well, so look out for him coming down towards the hairpin, then before the long back straight here at this track. Breaker at just about 100 metres in these conditions, down towards the hairpin, and again, a little bit of a slide in the rear of the car there for Lando. Lando really struggling in these wet conditions, just doesn't seem to have a lot of confidence on the mid-corner. He just seems to be wobbling all over the place at the moment. Now down this back straight, a little bit of a rise over the hill, nothing too much to worry about, and now into the downhill braking zone for the next corner. So easy to outbrake yourself and go wide, because it really tightens this track on exit, quite wide to quite a narrow exit on this track. But again, Lando, a bit of a wobble mid-corner. He's really struggling. A 1 minute 20.1 by the time we get to the second sector point. Still running in about that third or fourth place, but it looks like Toxic and Verstappen are clear at the front of the field. Now into this double left-hander. So easy to lock up an inside front tyre there. A little bit cambered on the inside. And again, Lando in the slow speed, really struggling for grip. This long right-hander now based off of the turn 8 at Turkey. Ibo's now the next person to retire from the session. It looks like he might have invalidated as well. A little bit off camber, then it changes to in camber for the exit of the corner. Into the penultimate corner, another off camber corner. So easy to run out wide and invalidate. Lando keeps it on the track nicely now into the final corner for a short run to the line. Again, it looks like Toxic's going to be on pole position here by quite some margin. Toxic comes up to the line. A 2 minute 5 is actually only 0.2 of a second. Lando third on the grid, and Lando 0.7 of a second off pole position, third on the grid. But with that kind of lap, you would have expected Lando to be a bit further down. He was all over the road, but it looks like everyone had the same problem.
Yeah, I think that Lando may well have either struggled to adapt to the conditions, but yeah, we'll see if he can try and turn things around in the race. We don't know what the conditions will be like for them. Toxic again on pole position, and he is certainly taking steps towards that championship now. He can't get it this round, but he may well get it next round. Verstappen comes through second place. Ron Toxic quite close to Lando and Camo on the third or the second row. Spag and Killer both impressing actually qualifying. They get up the front as well, but a big gap there certainly. Miami 5, Zedema, Nolan and Alex round out the top 10, and outside the top 10 you have J. Cole, Tim, Chell, California, Matrix, Maverick, Larkin and Ebo. Maverick, Larkin and Ebo unable to set times, and particularly with Larkin down there, you sense now that there is pretty much, especially after that no start last time out, I think the championship, we can say, is all but done. Toxic now really just has to essentially just drive to the road. We do have bright and sunny conditions for the race, a bit more straightforward. We'll see how that changes the fortunes, but Toxic another pole position. He must be feeling so optimistic ahead of this one.
He really, really should, yeah, and that is a great performance once again. Verstappen, though, one of his best qualifying performances of the season, you've got to say, second on the grid on the front row, and I think that might be one of only a few times that Verstappen's been on the front row this season. Verstappen not necessarily strong in qualifying, it's always been race pace where Verstappen seems to come alive, so for him to be on the front row, a good opportunity for him to battle for a podium as well in that Trident car. But looking outside the top 10 as to people who were starting a little bit out of sequence, obviously Larkin at the back of the field and Maverick, you would have to say, invalidating their times at the back of the field, but Chill and J. Cole over 3 seconds off pole position outside the top 10. They really struggled in those wet conditions.
You sense that they may well have just made a major mistake. It is a track that's very difficult to drive in the wet, there's no doubt about that, so they maybe just made a bit of an error. So we'll see if they can try and turn things around in the race. Of course, dry does sort of, I'd say, restore the order that we're used to seeing in some way. So we'll see how that affects things. I'm looking at the tyre choices because we have, but I'd say one in particular that really stands out. I think we have more drivers here than usual, I think, opting for that reverse strategy. And it's a 2 compound gap between the tyre sets. So that's one to look out for. And one thing that really catches my eye, Toxic pole position on the super soft tyres, Verstappen alongside him on the mediums. Those front row of the grid opting for completely different strategies, and that creates a fascinating dynamic ahead of this race.
Yeah, and that two-step tyre difference, like you say, is really it's something we haven't seen a lot this season. I can't remember the last time we saw a 2-step tyre difference. It hasn't been for a while though, so we'll have to wait and see how this alternate strategy works out and how far these super softs can get. You would imagine at a track that is such high load like this that those super soft tyres aren't going to be that competitive for very long, maybe 4 or so laps, and then you'll probably have to come in for a set of medium tyres. Other people on the medium tyre set, apart from Verstappen on the front of the row, front of the grid, I should say, Miami 7th on the grid and Zaldama 8th on the grid on the medium tyres, J. Cole in 11th on the medium tyres, California in 14th on the medium tyres, and Ibo and Larkin at the back of the field on the medium tyres. And that is actually the most amount of people I think we've seen on that alternate strategy since the start of the season. The alternate strategy hasn't really been the favourable one all season long, but it seems around this track it might be the way to go.
Yeah, that's of course the drivers. I do have to say that this league is probably not very practiced by most of the drivers, although I think one in particular has quite a lot of attention recently for going against that grade. But but yeah, so maybe they're just going with their gut on this one, and not really based off of anything in particular, but they just want to potentially switch things up and opt for a different strategy. It's going to be fascinating to see. And I saw Toxic nearly going round. One car has gone completely in front of this Killer Blue, who is really trying to get temperature into those tyres. They are super soft, so there shouldn't be that much of an issue. But that's one thing to look out for. Maybe the tyre temperatures, as it hasn't been the quickest outlap in the world, the formation lap in the world. So we'll see if the medium runners are able to keep them on the island, keep them in the window, and that's going to be very important for their start there. You could see Verstappen is going to be one to keep an eye on. If he can hang up the other front, that could really favour him, but I think it's going to be difficult for him to stay there, and he could find himself living in track possession. We'll see, of course, but it's going to be a tough one for him to stay up there.
Yeah, here we go then. Everyone lining up at the back of the field. Like you say, Verstappen, the one to watch out for in the early phases. Can he hold on to that position at the front of the field? Or will he drop back further down towards the other medium runners, currently at the bottom end of the top 10? Here we go then, at the front of the field. Lead in the championship on pole position. Second in the championship. Last on the grid. Toxic then on pole once again. Can he get a good start? Lights are out fairly quickly and away they go. And it actually looks like Lando, third on the grid, had the best start out of the top three. Verstappen had a decent start on the medium tyres. Killer Blues had a brilliant start. He's down the inside of Campbell looking for fourth place, but they're three wide into the corner. Verstappen trying to get down the inside of Toxic into turn one, but can't quite get a move done. And now Lando's going to try and capitalise down through turn two and towards turn three. Lando looking for the outside line for the start of the S's, and Verstappen has to back out of it. Lando a good start. He's up into second place. Now he can chase after Toxic. Verstappen under a little bit of pressure from his teammate Campbell, who's up the inside, and Verstappen I think backs out of the move, lets his teammate go, and in the process is going to let Killer Blue have a go as well. Killer Blue down the inside through this long uphill right-hander. They're still side by side. Verstappen all over the curb. Somehow he held on to it though, but he's dropped to fifth, moving out the way of his teammate has cost him dearly, and now Spag is right on the back of him in the Campos car, and he dives down the inside at the last moment. I think it was more of an avoidance move than anything else, but he's actually going to pull the move off, and Verstappen is still, they're still side by side though. Spag lets Verstappen back through, so he's back ahead, but they're still side by side. And look at Alex. Alex has had a brilliant start in the Uni Virtuosi. He's passed Spag already down this straight, trying to get a go at Verstappen as well towards the braking zone, but he's not close enough. But a great start. Oh, I say that though, really late on the brakes down the inside, but he can't quite get down the inside fully enough to make the move stick, but he's ahead of Spag going into the next corner. There's a little bit of wheel banging, and Spag sends it down the inside, kind of forces Alex out of the way a little bit. Now here comes Nolan, 2 for 1. He passed Alex and Miami in the same corner, and here comes Chill as well, trying to capitalise off a good start. And again, Spag wide in the next corner. They're still side by side here as Nolan tries to get down the inside. There's more wheel banging, and finally Nolan gets the move done, so he's up to 7th place in the Dams car. Bit of a crazy start as more people go wide off the corner. So much understeer midway through that corner, but at the end of lap 1, Toxic still leads, but he can't escape. Lando is sticking with him.
What a manic start to this race, and it's not over yet. Miami went down the inside of Alex. He's been a decent start on those mediums and hung with it, and I thought we were going to avoid the graphics glitch now, but it is still about and lurking for us, so we're going to have to put up with that here today. Let's look for more battles out there on the track, though. Looks fairly calm. Everyone's just sailing into line. Further down the back of the field, Larkin's trying to make his recovery. Draws alongside Zanima, going through turn 2 then. Two very experienced drivers going wheel to wheel into the S section, and I think that Zenima's going to have to back out of that one, and he runs wide going through and cuts across and has to get out of it. So we resume then here on lap 2 of this race with Toxic leading the way and Lando getting up to him. I think he's keeping him honest up at the front, and those two who have disputed so many elite fights already in the last few rounds of this championship may well go at it again here in the USA. Close battles on track then. Spag is trying to rein in Verstappen. Verstappen wasn't a terrible start, but he did get caught out a little bit there. He lost out to Lando Campbell. Killer Blue. Killer Blue himself has been an incredible start to this race and is running up in the top 4. That's definitely one of the best performances we have seen from him all season. Further down the field, Alex is battling away with Miami, though he's not. I thought that the timings were showing them just 100th of a second apart, but that is not actually the case. So everyone just sailing into line now, and yeah, that top 2 battle is going to be so intriguing to look out for, with Toxic leading the way, Lando sticking with it, but Campbell in 3rd place is struggling a little bit more, 2 seconds back, and at the moment he can't pull away right now from the Ordnance Killer Blues. Lando now with the penalty already.
Wow, as Toxic before the race was saying he was the one who was looking good on penalties, Lando's the first one to pick one up, and there's that new graphic that we can see on our screen. Lando with a 3-second time penalty, then Chills down the inside of Nolan. They're going side by side into the final corner. Chills going to get the inside line for the corner and get the good exit out of the corner as well. Nolan is still side by side coming up this long crest up towards turn 1. Maverick now with a time penalty as well, currently down in 17th place. Here goes Nolan and Chills still side by side, but Chills going to have the inside line for turn 1. You would imagine he'll be able to hold on to it, and he does. So Chills had a brilliant start from 14th on the grid. He's already up to 7th place. He's made those super soft tyres work. Speaking of the medium runners, every medium runner has lost places apart from Larkin. Larkin on the mediums has gained 6 places. He's had a brilliant start in the Arden, and now he's on the back of this queue forming behind Miami. Another person on the medium tyres struggling for pace. The early pace of these mediums is poor. They're really struggling to find any pace. J. Cole from 11th on the grid has dropped down to 15th. They're really struggling on these medium tyres, and it does look like this two-step difference in the tyre compounds is really starting to affect their pace.
But is it going to affect them in the long run for the positive? We'll see how that all unfolds. Chills on the charge again. He was lighting up Spag going into the hairpin. Back to that one. He has got a penalty, though, on the 3rd lap of this race. So that's something he's going to have to look out for. Lando, he's got that penalty himself, but he's really pressuring Toxic now. He's got to within 3/10 to the championship leader. As Chill again was looking down the inside of Spag. Back to that one. And Alex as well at Miami. Miami runs it around the outside onto the curb. And Alex and the Universe Choose. He tries to get up and alongside now. Is his teammate down the inside? Tim tries to get a move through, has the back end of that one, and Larkin now arriving on the scene as they head now into turn 50. Down the inside goes Tim again. Alex gives him the space on the inside. They run it out now, and eventually Alex has to yield that one. And look at Larkin. He's on a mission here, and he cruises down the inside through this 3rd sector of the lap. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to try and possibly keep his championship hopes alive. He is now running in this train and certainly has even 4th place in his sights at the moment. Larkin's made a positive start to this race, but at the moment Toxic still leads it with Lando's penalty. Even with all the pressure he puts on him, Toxic looking comfortable up at the front there. If he can just maintain that lead, Lando with an extra penalty has an awful long way to go to try and win this race now.
Still a long way to go. Like you say, we've still got 12 laps to go. We've passed that mandatory pit stop phase now, so people can come in to the pits. We're on lap 4 of this race. This is when you would expect some of those super soft runners to start to come into the pit lane, and people are starting to lose pace. Most noticeably, Killer Blue. He's starting to drop back into the clutches of Verstappen at the moment. He's dropped 2.3 seconds behind Campbell. Campbell now the next person to pick up a time penalty. We're going to see a lot of those today. So many opportunities to run off the track at this one. There's so much runoff. It's so enticing to run off the track, but of course you pick up penalties because of it. Chill once again looking very fast all over the back of Spag, coming down towards the hairpin, but he's not close enough to make a move, and he's not going to make a move before the DRS straight here. But I think Spag is going to have DRS on the back of Verstappen as well. Yes, he does. But look at Chill. He's had a brilliant run coming out the corner. He wasn't suited to the wet conditions, but the dry seems to be suiting him a lot better. Spag moves a little bit to the inside line, but I think he knows that Chill's the faster driver. Chill goes down the inside of Spag towards the braking zone, but Spag very late on the brakes on the outside. Going to try and hold it, but has a wobble on traction on the exit, and Chill gets his car fully ahead for the next corner, so he's up yet another place. 8 places gained in this race for Chill so far, up to 6th place. Verstappen and Killer Blue next on the road for him. Nolan as well down the inside, late move down the inside of Spag in the next corner. They're still side by side for this long right-hander. Nolan's going to try and fight his way all the way around the outside. Can he pull it off? There's going to be a lot of understeering. That Dam's car is on the curb. They're still side by side, but Spag's got the better line through the corner. Nolan will have the inside line though for the penultimate corner, and he's going to barge his way through down the inside. Nolan gets up into 7th place. Spag dives to the pit lane at the last moment. He's into the pit lane. What a move from Nolan though, and Nolan at the moment having his best race of the season so far, as now Verstappen's going to get moved on Killer Blue before turn 1. So the super soft tyres definitely starting to go off for at least Larkin. Chill seems to be the one that's making the most progress on these super softs. He's flying along at the moment.
Yeah, Chill on an absolute mission now. Can he keep this momentum going? We've seen so many great starts from him after poor qualifying performances. Can he get this one done yet again? Toxic went into the pit lane on the last lap. Now emerges down in 15th place. We'll try and make the most of it and maybe break Lando from his DRS. Can he make the mediums work? Can he pull off the undercut then? That is what we're all looking to see. Verstappen now with a penalty. So many penalties already here in this race. And Zanima as well. Well, that's
Wow.
uncharacteristic. And you're seeing this track catching so many victims. Little tap going down into the airband. That is between Chill and into the back of Killer Blue. Killer Blue, as you mentioned, has not kept those tires in the operating window, has really worn them out. And now, here comes the Predator attacking. Heading into turn 12. Is he going to line up the inside line at the edge of the straight? Yes, he does. Down the inside. QBR Chill getting it and stopped and turned in there. Killer pitches him onto the curb. Holds the right inside and getting the spear off. They make contact and both of them go through the grass on the outside. Somehow they're out the wall, but look at the places that they both lost there. Even Larkin and Tim have both got through. Killer lost out with that one. Chill, after an incredible start yet again, getting caught up in an incident with Killer Blue. That was so odd the way the cars is interlocked, and yeah, Killer and Chill dropping well down the field, and that's going to put a huge damper on their race, because they were really in a fight for the top 5 here, and they're going to have an awful long way to fight back if they want to get anywhere near those heights there as they both dive, I'm sure, for the pit lane.
Yeah, that is such a shame, and you can't really put any blame on anyone for that one. It was kind of Killer Blue coming off the corner, Chill trying to keep him tight to the exit of the corner, and they just interlocked wheels like you said, and they couldn't avoid each other. They nearly ended up in the barriers, but they got away with it. Looking at people into the pit lane then, Lando's into the pits, Killer Blue and Chill are in. So where does Lando come out relative to Toxic? Toxic obviously with an extra lap on these medium tyres, you would expect to gap him a little bit more. Coming out of the pit lane though is Lando, and he's not lost huge amounts of time to Toxic. There goes Toxic across your screen into turn 1. Lando will be outside of DRS range, but we saw how quickly Lando caught back up to Toxic at the start of this race, so we'll maybe expect him to do the same again. And now Toxic's got a little bit of traffic as well. He's stuck a little bit behind California, who's won one of his first races of the season in the ART car, so look out for Toxic to get a little bit stuck behind him, and maybe Lando can capitalise on that. Campbell is currently running in 13th place. He's 7 seconds ahead of Spag. These three drivers have really gapped the rest of the field at the moment. Verstappen's really the only one that will slot in between that gap when they all come into the pit lane. Speaking of all the people though that have made great starts in this race, Larkin from last on the grid, dead last, 18th, now runs third, obviously with people coming into the pit lane as well, but when he comes into the pits, I think he's going to be running in about a net P7, which is an incredible start to this race, and we're only 6 laps in.
Yeah, Larkin, he's had a tough run in the last few rounds, but he is really showing his class here today. Further down the field, Jacob was having a little look concerned about, but couldn't quite follow through. Heading into turn 12 and had to yield that one. He's still looking all over the back, and there's Alex has gone round, coming off at turn 14, and he drops it there, and he drops well down the field then. Alex, who was running quite well actually at the start of this race, now runs nearly a pit stop off the net race lead. That's hugely unfortunate for Alex then. In the Universe Heroes, he drops it, spins it, and yeah, he drops now well off the back, 4 seconds behind Jekyll. A fairly major one, and Alex now out of contention, surely, as we have more pit stops then. We have Nolan, Tim, and Matrix all coming in. So I think that's going to be the last of the Super Soft starters out of the pit, into the pit lane, out of their first set of tyres, and I think they'll all drop behind the net race leaders. So Toxic does regain that. He has a decent enough lead over Lando, who is still stuck up behind California 5. Can't get through it at the moment. They both have penalties at the moment, do Toxic and Lando. But Lando, they're looking at the inside of turn 2, and then he dodged the back of the rear of the car, just about managed to make his way through. California hugely lost the rear end there. Lando was able to get through, but yeah, that was very, very sketchy, very, very scary. He managed to avoid it and keep it going, but now he's got a bit more work to do. Try and get up to Toxic. 3 seconds is the gap there. Toxic with an undercut has gained hugely, now has a comfortable lead at this race with another penalty now for Lando.
Oh, that's going to really cost him at this point, because it might drop him behind Campbell as well. Campbell starting to close in actually on Lando. It seems to be Campbell the one starting to make the moves in this top 3. Toxic continues to lead this race, and he's got a little bit of a comfortable margin. Obviously it's the net race leader. We've still got those people in front of him yet to make a stop in this race. Those people are Verstappen, who currently leads, then Larkin in second, Miami in third, Zalama, he's been really struggling today. We've seen Zalama running in the mid part of the top 10 pretty much all season long. He's looked so consistent, but at the moment he had a terrible start, dropped all the way down to the back of the field, hasn't regained any of that ground, and you can see him locking up left, right and centre. Zalama really not enjoying this track, it seems. He's all over the road, as now Campbell's going to get the move done on California coming through this final sector, so he's got the move done. 2.7 seconds is the gap between him and Lando. Further back down the field, Nolan came out the pit lane and actually jumped the likes of Killer and Chill because of their spin, so Nolan's ahead of the pair of them and right on the back of Spag once again, so Nolan continues to have one of his best performances of the season so far.
Yeah, no, really showing well here in the USA, and Spag, who qualified extremely well for this race, now in the mercy, maybe losing another position out there. Can he hold on though, in front of the Dabs car, reeling him in and putting the pressure on in that battle over 10th place in a row. We'll see how they emerge once the medium runners come into the pit lane in probably a few laps time. So keep your eye out how that's all looking on. But we have yellows yet again there. Someone's going to run that Lando! Lando off at turn 1, and he's spun off to the side and now drops that net second place to Campbell and drops like California as well. Lando, it's been a rather uncharacteristic race for him. He tried to put the pressure on Toxic, got a pair of penalties, and now spearing off. They're making a major mistake. He now can surely now has to focus on maybe just limiting the damage and trying to grab a podium, but Lando, his charge at trying to get to Toxic has not worked out in the slightest in this race, and now Toxic, as long as he doesn't make a mistake, surely has this race in his hands now. He's now 6 seconds at the net race lead in front of Campbell, who runs the net P2.
And yet again, Toxic has the advantage in these battles. We've seen a few battles recently between Lando and Toxic always seems to be the one that comes out on top. And yet again, Lando with a small error, he gets away with it. He's got no damage, and he's back past California down the back straight, but with no damage. He's dropped down now to a net 3rd place, and that will put him under pressure from Verstappen when he comes into the pit lane in a few laps' time, you would imagine. As now Nolan's going to get the move done down the inside of Spag, down the back straight as well. Clear before the braking zone, trying to get the switchback. It's Spag on the exit of the corner, but he can't quite get the move done, and he locks up to boot to the next corner as well. Runs into the back of Nolan, coming out of the corner. Can he maybe make a dive to the inside for this next one? But Nolan sees that charge off, darts to the inside line and protects it. So Nolan gets the move done on Spag before Killer and Chill caught up to the back of them as well. They're on the back of this queue, but Nolan performing really well once again. And now Spag trying to get up the inside of this corner. It's kind of turned into an overtaking spot, this right-hander, because there's so many different lines you can take. Nolan really struggling for understeer, but he's got the move done, and he should be safe towards turn 1. So Nolan now up into 10th place. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Verstappen continues to lead. Larkin continues to run in 2nd. Miami continues to run in 3rd. And speaking of penalties, we've only got, I think, about 6 or 7 drivers in the field without a penalty. It's Verstappen now picks up his 2nd penalty of the race. Miami, J. Cole, California, Spag, Killer, Matrix, and Alex are the only ones who don't have penalties. And yet again, Killer Blue and Chill are going at it now down through turn 2, and Killer Blue is going to defend it towards the S's in front. Spag's trying to get the move done on Nolan as well. Chill can't quite get the move done and picks up a penalty as well. That's his 2nd penalty of the race, so he picks up one behind Killer Blue. Spag's trying to repass Nolan, but he can't seem to get the move done, and this is weird because Nolan was swarming all over the back of Spag, and as soon as Nolan's past Spag, he can't disappear up the road.
Yeah, Spag putting the pressure on him now and sort of reversing the fortunes here. Killer Blue and Chill, they are right with it as well, and looking to try and get themselves involved in this battle. Now, Nolan, not a great exit off of turn 11, but neither was Spag. He got a bit of oversteer. Maybe it cost him a little run at it, but he has the RS now, and he's going to try and crawl onto the back of XL Nolan. So here we go now. Getting right up to 3/10 the gap as he look to the inside line. He hangs back at the moment then. Thinks better of a lunge onto the brakes. So Nolan will cover it off. Let a bit of a chirp for the rear tires as he tries to explode away and maintain that 10th position. But Spag is piling the pressure on. No way through as of yet. Though Killer is right with it as well then. Almost lighting him up heading at turns 14 and 15. They all stay in the same order. But they are now running almost nose to tail. Nolan has 3 very experienced drivers on his tail. Can he get away from them? I saw Spag making a bit of an error, and Killer maybe having a look at him now. Up the field, Toxic down the inside of XL Jacob. Completes that move. Lando fastest lap. He is chasing down Campbell, but in terms of a battle for the win, or even getting 2nd place with his penalties, is it too late? Too late for Lando? Looks like he'll almost certainly have to settle for 3rd in this race as it stands there. He's got almost no way of fighting back now. Toxic is away gone, and if he can just hold it on the road, he'll get yet another victory, and surely over 100 point. I say that he does get a penalty, but at the moment Toxic looks so comfortable. He can cruise in, and he could be heading for yet another victory. They can get closer to the championship as that Nolan out went through the S section, and now right S, he goes Spag, he reclaims it, and now Killer Blue try and take advantage. Down the inside, cannot quite see it through. Nolan looking back down the inside of Spag. Gets pitched onto the apex. Spag runs wide. Penalty. Nolan. And now he's coming back at him. These two are swapping back and forth. Neither willing to yield. They head into turn 11 and again Nolan down the outside. Incredibly late on the brakes. Can he get that stopped? Underneath him goes Spag with the switchback. And now Killer Blue has a great run in the pair of them. So here we go now. Onto the back straight. DRS with Nolan. He's going to fight back side by side. When Spag goes to the inside line. Now Killer splits the difference. Threads the needle down the middle. Can he get that one done? Spag gets out of it. Now Killer laces on the brakes. He forces Nolan out wide. Spag comes back at him and Chill draws alongside him. Nolan's the big loser here. I mean, he's still coming back at Spag. And he tries to get him moved down in turn 15. Chill almost gets underneath him and almost hits him. Nolan switches to the inside. He almost runs into contact with Killer Blue. He spins up the rear tyres. Now, Chill right outside of Spag. He's trying to reclaim that position then. Gets forced over the outside. Spag will maintain 11th place. Runs wide though. Chill gets up and alongside in a turn 19 and somehow QVR Chill has found that position. Please take over, Aiden. This is absolutely sensational. What a battle. But finally, though, I think went one step too far. Caught himself out and he now runs to the back of the train as opposed to the front.
That is experience over youth, really, that one is, isn't it? Nolan at the front of the queue of cars making a crucial error and then getting a little bit desperate in trying to defend the places. Lost all three of them in the end because of it, and he's trying to get back up the inside of Spag into the first corner, but again can't quite get the move done. And now Miami has come out of the pits directly on the back of this queue of cars. So the alternate strategy at the moment it's not been too bad. They're now right on the back of this queue is Miami. This is where he was before we pitted. So those drivers on the medium tyres all battling, haven't really gained any time on Miami in this race. Can he get past this queue of cars and up into 7th place? Further in front, Larkins come out of the pit lane in 6th, directly behind California, who hasn't pitted yet. So Larkins currently looking for a 5th place finish from 18th on the grid. That's a brilliant drive with no safety cars. Verstappen's come out in 4th on his own, 4.6 seconds back from Lando, who's now on the tail of his teammates. So it's not out of the question yet that Verstappen could still come home with a 2nd place finish.
Watch him charge. Can they try to get back and maybe put pressure on his teammate in their fight as well? But I think he has 6 seconds of penalties that may hold him back versus Campbell. Miami is now the man on the move. He's already got past Nolan on this lap and is now lining up spaghetti chips as they head into the 3rd sector now. So Miami 5, who has impressed in recent rounds, I have to say, is absolutely flying. And now he's leading out Spag, who surely has no defence. Down the inside, Miami. Can he get it stopped and turn in? So, Spag tries to pinch him to the inside, but runs out wide on the exit. Now Miami is right outside of turn 17, swoops in front of him, and there's nothing Spag can do to hold it back. Miami has the grip, he has it in his tyres. Lando now, attacking Campbell, trying to claim that 2nd place on the road now. Can he get it done on the brakes? Campbell gets it all locked up and will hold it. Now Lando, better exit, better drive, right outside of turn 2 to the inside of turn 3. Can he pull that one through? No, he can't. Campbell definitely needed to do it, held on to it, but Lando now crawling all over him, and the more they battle, the more Verstappen can reel them in then. Only just over a lap on these tires, and he's now running just 3 seconds behind him. He's caught about 2 seconds in the last lap.
Verstappen took a 2nd out of Lando in the last sector alone. He's so fast on these super soft tyres. Larkin took the same amount of time out as well. They're flying on these tyres. So is Miami. He's already passed back. He's right on the back of Chill and Killer. I remember Chill and Killer both had time penalties. Miami's one of the few people in the field that doesn't have a penalty at this point. So this is looking very good for Miami, who nearly runs clean into the back of Chill in the middle part of that corner. He was so much faster in the mid part of that corner. So much more grip in these super soft tyres. Can Miami look to the inside line? He's not close enough, as now Lando once again battling with Campbell down towards the next corner. And Lando, I think this time's going to get the move done, but Campbell trying to hold it round the outside. We'll have the inside line for the next corner. Campbell trying to be late on the brakes, but locks up and he can't quite get the car stopped in time. Lando does get 2nd place. Does he defend the inside line though? Campbell's trying to come back at him, but Lando sees that one off as well. Lando seems to have got the move done this time round. He's back ahead of Campbell on the road. He's back up into 2nd place, but like you say, an extra penalty is going to cost him at this point. It won't cost him to Verstappen. Verstappen has 2 penalties, but Campbell only has the 1. But look at the gap now. Verstappen's only 1.6 seconds back. He's flying.
And with that momentum, it's not out the question that he could get that gap out anyway, regardless of the extra penalty he has versus Campbell. So here we go, then that battle's going to be intriguing. Look at Miami now, he close right up into the back of Chill. Do not go down the inside of the turn 19. You cannot make a dive in there, and he does think better of it and run in behind. We'll see how long these super soft tires are able to keep this grip up then in this charge. So now, they all run into DRS, straight as Toxic. Toxic's made a mistake! Toxic's dropped into turn 1, and he drops behind Lando and behind Campbell, and this race has been blown wide open here! Unbelievable! Toxic off at turn 1, yet again in this race. Lando claims the race lead. Campbell in second place. Campbell's the only driver out of these lot, I think, that is good on penalties, only has 3 seconds, so he has an advantage now. So Toxic, Verstappen, and Lando, they're all going to have to claw their way back. This battle for the lead has been absolutely blown completely out of proportion. Lando, now out of DRS range, he might still win this race after all that's happened to him. He's not out of this one.
I didn't believe it. I thought it was a timing glitch. I didn't think Toxic had gone off the road, but again, it's like the start of the season. Toxic makes a mistake, but now he's down the inside. Campbell tries to force him all the way to the left-hand side of the road, but just like last lap, Toxic's going to get down the inside the same as what Lando did, and he will get the move done. So now can Toxic pass Lando on track and retake the lead as Verstappen is let through by his teammate. Verstappen goes up into third place. What can he do about winning on track? Verstappen could still come home with a race victory. This has been blown wide open at this point in the race. There's still about going on for 6th. Miami's going to get the pair of them if he's good at coming out of this corner. He'll have the outside line for the next one. What does Killer Blue do here? Does he force him off the road? No, he gives just enough space for Miami to go around the outside of Chill. Chill will have the inside line. Miami will have the inside line for the next corner. Miami sends it down the inside. Larkin has to run out wide onto the curb. Killer Blue, sorry, I keep getting mixed up as Miami again around the outside of this long right-hander. Looks like he might get the move done, but it's a bit wide. Killer Blue's got the tighter line, but now it looks like Miami's going to get the move done, and Chill's trying to capitalise as well down the inside of Killer Blue to the penultimate corner, and he's going to get the move done. Finally, Chill is past Killer Blue. It's taken him 14 laps, but he gets the move done, but Miami in the process passed the pair of them, and he's up to 6th. What a race this has been for Miami so far, as now Verstappen's passed Toxic on track, so Verstappen's up into 2nd place. He's the man chase. Oh, really late on the brakes, sends it down the inside of Miami. There was a bit of contact. He's going to have to back out of that one, and now Chill gets back ahead of him again, coming out of the corner. This race has blown up in the last few laps, and Miami now up into 6th place should start to cruise away. And remember, he's the only person apart from Spag inside the top 10 who doesn't have a penalty in this race, so he's comfortable at the moment, at least on penalties to the drivers around him. So Miami currently running in 6th place, and this battle as well is all over that final spot on that 8th place spot, that reverse grid pole position, and it could go to anyone really, all the way down to J. Cole, who currently runs in 12th place. I was just about to say who didn't have a penalty, and he just picked it up as I was about to say it. Currently running in 12th place. Killer Blue holds it, but it looks like Spag might steal it off him on penalties, and Zaunama has gone from nowhere and is now in the top 10 again, all over the back of Spag looking for 9th. So I don't know what has happened to this race. It's gone so crazy in the last few laps. Here comes Zaunama on the back of Spag, coming down the back straight towards the next corner. Can Zaunama brake late enough? He's so late on the brake.
Oh, Lando's off!
Lando's off the road. No way, he's done it again. 2nd time in this race in a good position. Lando spun the car before the long right-hander, and he looks like he could have won this race. He had a good enough gap to Verstappen and Toxic to take the race victory, and again, he's blown it. He's spun on his own. No assistance from anyone else, and Toxic another penalty. Campbell's going to win this race.
Campbell is still with it though. Verstappen looks like he's struggling with the tyres now. He's losing that grip, and now Toxic getting up onto the back of it as well. Dives it down the inside of turn 1. Can he get it stopped in turn in? Yes, he can. But Verstappen gets the grip, bangs it on the outside and maintains it. And now Campbell, as you mentioned, he's got to hang in there and maintain that gap. So here we go, and he's got to avoid getting a penalty as well. This race is phenomenal. Here we go now, just under 2 laps to go here in the USA. Verstappen cruised through, looked like a set race winner, but now as the tyre grip beginning to come back to the medium runners, and Verstappen now is struggling. He may have taken too much out of them. 1.5 laps to go here in USA. Toxic in the middle with 9 seconds of penalty, surely no way back, and it's not out of the question that Larkin may well come out in front of him in this race, unbelievably. So can Toxic at least salvage a win on track? He's right there with Verstappen now. DRS open, down the back, straight towards the 3rd sector. Is he going to go for lunge? Verstappen this time is wise to it, covers the inside line. Toxic breaks in remarkably late. Can he get it stopped? He can. So now, in turn 13, they're wheel to wheel again. No way does Toxic pull this off. Down the inside, Verstappen gets back underneath, draws level through turn 14 with the inside line, is with Toxic, and Toxic, meanwhile, pulled off the most incredible move to reclaim the race lead on track. Somehow, from somewhere, he's found that against Verstappen, who struggles now on the tyres, and Campbell may still claim this race win. Just over 1 lap to go. Toxic leads the way, but he's got the penalty disadvantage. Verstappen is coming back at him towards turn 20. Now his battle for the win is not over yet. Now, here we go, driving off the last corner for the penultimate time. Now Verstappen with DRS again is going to try and fight back against Toxic, who unseated him for the race leader on the last lap. Then right outside is going to be getting it all turned down for the corner. Maybe look for a switchback. No, he's going to drive it right outside. Inside of turn 2, outside of turn 3. He is pitched onto the curb. And Toxic, remarkably, incredibly, phenomenally holds the race lead in front of Verstappen. Campbell just has the game it clean. He looks like a race winner here as Civic things hold his way. My, oh my, what an end to this race. Toxic just has to hold on now to get the win on track. When the penalties is accumulated and the mistake he made earlier on, it seems to be up against him as Miami's now going off, lost out to Shell, and Jacob's going off as well. Aiden, what on earth is going on here? Shell now makes a mistake. Miami back around the outside then.
My God.
Inside now in a turn 7 and 8. They're now going to Lando. Another penalty might lose him out to Miami if he's not careful. So Miami gets his nose in front. Shell wheel to wheel down the straight then, and now Zerma's with them. Where's Zerma come from in this race? Miami round the outside, trying to get that done against QVR Shell. They are level onto the traction. There's a mistake from Zerma, and Killer Blue now gets alongside him. So they are now battling away. Miami tries to get through, but Chill claims it now. And now Miami's under pressure, gets swamped. Now Zanima will launch down the inside, getting in his contact with Shell, who runs out wide. There's yellows up end of the road. That's Embo who's letting them all through. So now Shell somehow has claimed that second place for the final lap. And Miami trying to get up to him. Zanima looking all over him. Killer looks to be too far back. No, then Tim battling away. But now we turn to the race lead. Toxic will come through and he wins the race on the track, but Campbell will overhaul it. Where's Larkin to get a finger? He comes in third. Larkin from last to third beats Toxic. That's almost for prey, but he's done it. Lando just holds 5th place, I think, as they all come over the line behind him.
They're still side by side.
Gets 6th. They're still battling back there. Lando, Miami gets 6th. Spag gets up 7th, Killer rates Zerma 9th, and Matrix ends up 10th after all that. And, well, I think I'm going to need to lie down, but we've still got another race in front of us. My, oh my.
We've still got a sprint race to go. What on earth was that race? That was absolutely incredible. That, for me, I'm sorry, Austria, that might take the cake. That might be my favourite race of the season. That was absolutely incredible stuff. Shout out to everyone in that race. That was incredible, battling all the way through the field, all the way from the battle for the lead to the battle for places like 14th and 15th. They were going at it for every single spot on the track. What a race that was. Larkin gets driver of the day, and I mean, I might have to hand it to him on a plate for that one. 18th on the grid to 3rd. Where has this Larkin been for the last 5 rounds of the championship? This could have kept him in the championship run as he beats Toxic on track for the first time in quite a while, but unfortunately it's just a little bit, it's a too little too late, unfortunately, for Larkin in the championship standings. But he picks up a remarkable podium. He nearly beat Verstappen to 2nd place in this race, but Campbell is going to pick up, I think, his first feature race victory of the season. What a drive, trying to get their first 1-2 in the feature race this season. Verstappen gets 2nd place from 2nd on the grid on the alternate strategy, but the penalties in the end are what cost him. He does pick up fastest lap though. Larkin nearly stole fastest lap off of him. He gets 3rd place from 18th on the grid. Toxic, our pole sitter, looked like he had this one in the bag and then threw it away with a few laps to go, spun on his own. Lando did exactly the same thing twice and spun twice in this race. He drops to 5th, nearly fell to 6th because of penalties from Miami nearly passed him in the end. He gets 6th ahead of Spag in 7th, who didn't have penalties either. Killer Blue will be on reverse grid pole position in that Arden, and he was feisty all the way through that race. Zaldama from nowhere ended up in 9th. Matrix in the top 10, I think his first top 10 of the season. Chill only 11th ahead of Tim 12th. Nolan, J. Cole, California, Alex, Maverick and Ibo all finished this race. Ibo finishing unfortunately a lap down What an incredible race that was, and I can't wait for the sprint race. The sprint race is going to be something else as well. That was insane.
Sorry, I swallowed the drink in the wrong way. I'm too much breathing. That's what it was. That was. I do agree. That was, and no doubt in my mind, the race of the season.
Oh.
That was simply remarkable. And I hope that this race is even better. We will see how that goes. But yeah, that was simply amazing. I don't even know who's going to start in reverse grid pole. We've had to just wind down from all that. Do you know, Aidan?
I think it's Killer Blue. Killer Blue in the Ardens ended up on all the craziness that happened to Killer Blue in that race has somehow ended on reverse grid pole.
We've lost it, haven't we, Aidan? This is just too much.
Formula 2 Formula 2's killed me this season, and they continue to kill me. Oh.
Well, let's focus on the next job at hand. You are right there, Killer Blue on pole position. Spag alongside him. Those two shared some great battles throughout the last race as well. I don't know if this is going to top what we just saw. In fact, I highly doubt it. But we will see. Sprint races are usually, of course, chaotic and, well, rather incredible usually in this championship. So here we go then. 11 laps ahead of us. Everyone but Ibu actually is on the medium tires. I'm not sure why Ibu's actually on the super softs. But we'll see. There's not going to be as much of a strategic factor. It's just going to be a standard, classic, lights to flag race. Whoever comes across the line wins, barring any penalties, of course. So we'll see how this all unfolds. And yeah, honestly, I just can't call this. I have no clue what's going to go on. It looked like a rather straightforward fight, as to what we've been seeing in the last few rounds between Lando and Toxic for the race run in just the first few laps. But of course, in the second half of the race, everything turned on its head. So I'm absolutely not calling anything in front of this race. If that feature race has taught me anything, this is going to be impossible to predict.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be ridiculous. And one thing I was thinking as well, with the first 1-2 of the season, we get to USA and it's their first 1-2 in a feature race this season. It's taken quite a while for them. But Trident, with their best result of the season so far, as Tossic's disqualified from the formation lap. But that means that I think Trident, after that one round alone, might be now ahead of Prema in the manufacturers. There's still a manufacturers battling going on that we haven't really mentioned a lot this season. They do lead the way on 782 points. That's a ridiculous number, but they're only 19 points ahead of Trident, and those two are 257 points ahead of the next team in the championship, which is absolutely massive. That's Arden running in third at the moment in the championship, but that battle's still going on, and now I think Trident have the advantage with Chill only down in 11th, and Toxic really throwing away an easy win. And I said it during the stream that was kind of Toxic from the start of the season. That was very reminiscent nearly of what happened at Zandvoort, not quite to the same extent, but we saw that a lot from him at the start of the season. He kind of ironed it out, and again he's throwing away an easy victory.
We kind of saw we saw, I'd say, for the two people that are still, I'd say, in the championship race at this point, we really saw a kind of change. Well, I'd say more of a reversal almost to just the back half of the season, the start of the season.
Yeah.
From what we saw from them, the kind of form that they showed throughout the races. And of course, Larkin's actually able to get one over on Toxic when he was starting 17 places lower on the grid. So we'll see how that all unfolds then. I think I'm going to take the start of this race and hopefully I make it to the end. So here we go then. Everyone all lined up and ready to go racing yet again. It's been an incredible show already today. Are we going to get treated to more? Here today, we are now at 5 lights. And we are away for the sprint race here at USA. Off the line, Killer Blue then getting a good start from the second row. Lando absolutely flew off the line, and he draws alongside Miami, looking for second place already. He goes down the inside for the race lead now. Killer gets into space. They all stack up there. Miami runs out wide with Verstappen, who moves up into fourth place there. Great start from Verstappen. Now Spag and Toxic battling away, heading into the S section there in the first sector then. And look at this now. Wheel to wheel. Toxic gets squeezed out, and now Larkin looking down the inside. The two championship rivals going at it as well. We have yellows back there, Jake Zanua, they've gone off. back there at the second corner of the lap. So it is chaos down there yet again as we now exit the first section and heading down into turn 11 at the end of this now. Toxic on Spag, running outside, gonna get that done into the airpin. Spag though will run it out wide and cut him off for the exit. Toxic though, better exit, better grip from the rear tyres, tries to lead up the inside line, cut off by Spag, is fiercely defending that top 5, but Toxic will not relent, and now goes back around the outside. Can he claim that's one of the brakes there? He makes a little bit later, but Spag squeeze him onto the curb. They go spearing into each other in the braking zone, and now Larkin can take advantage. Toxic right outside, somehow in front of Spag. Spag brings very, very late down the inside on Toxic, wheel to wheel with Larkin, and now he loses the back end again. Has to relinquish it, has to back out of that one there. Larkin got through, but I think in that mess, he's got wing damage. Just Toxic there with a penalty for gaining a place with corner cutting. What a start yet again. Killablu still leads the way. Lando a great start to second. We are essentially seeing at the moment a continuation of the action we saw in the first race, as Lando now a killer for the race lead almost into the last corner. Into turn 20. Killer will come in and off, coming over the line to start lap 2. They are going at it, as you can see, and now it's after Verstappen. No, it's a bit of a timing glitch, I think. They're being shown to drop back.
Oh, full safety car.
An incredible first lap and a full safety car here in lap 2.
Nolan, I think, has crashed at the final corner into the pit wall on the pit wall entrance, unfortunately. I think he tried to come into the pits to replace his front wing and it's just clean understeered into the pit wall, and he's out of the race. So our safety car, so that's going to blow things wide open once again. What a crazy first lap. Everyone was spearing off in every direction. Campbell got spun around at the first corner. Our winner from the feature race spun after contact, I think, with Larkin. Larkin broke his front wing on the run towards turn 1. He ran into the back of Spag's car, I think, up the hill. Spag had such a poor start, and Larkin got caught out by it coming into turn 1 and just ran clean into the back of him. That's why he picked up the front wing damage, so he's going to be struggling. Maybe he'll come into the pit lane just to replace that front wing at the end of this lap. Obviously the safety car isn't at the head of this queue, I don't believe. I think it's a bit further back, so they've all passed the safety car, so they can get round at near enough full speed still before they catch the safety car. But my word, what an opening lap. Killer Blue then still leads. Lando second, Miami third, Verstappen fourth, Toxic fifth but with a penalty, Larkin sixth with a broken front wing, Spag from second on the grid down to 7th. What a poor start from him. Chill down is up into 8th. California 5's had an incredible start in the ART. He's up to 9th, and Tim rounds off the top 10. Campbell has already recovered to 11th place because of the carnage we had. Jacob and Zalnama both spun separately. They didn't hit each other. They were too far apart on the track, but they both spun at the same corner, almost doing identical spins. That's why they're down in 15th and 16th place. What a crazy opening that lap one was. And Toxic immediately with a penalty means that anyone can win this race. I don't think Toxic's going to be able to get to the front and break that 5-second gap in enough time, with enough time in this race. So it's still wide open as to who's going to win this one.
Certainly, and yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out there for any pit stops. Lando's made the bullet, and then Killer Blue actually does it to the pit lane. He may have got caught out by Lando's dummy. Lando stays out there, and Killer may well have made a fatal mistake. We will see.
Oh, Larkin's
I think, rather particularly, he's retired from the races, Killer Blue. He must have known the error he's made. What on earth has happened to Killer Blue?
Oh, he's left the session, so maybe he can't take part in the rest of the race. I'm not sure, but that is so bizarre for our race leader to be out. And because he retired in the pit lane, he's now he's going to be holding up his teammate Larkin, who came in to replace his front wing. He is going to drop. He would have dropped down to this position on the field in the field anyway, but he's dropped even further back, and he's missing his front wing entirely. So he's got to try and get that replaced as quickly as possible, get back to the back of the queue. But he will be starting 15th at the safety car queue. But we saw that he was able to get on the podium from 18th on the grid. So who knows how the rest of this race is going to pan out. That means the order now. Spag's back up to 5th, Chill's up to 6th, California, like I said, an incredible start from California. Let's double check how many places California has gained on this first lap. Let's wait and see. Just going to position change. California's gained 8 places at the start of this race. What a start from the ART man, who had a bit of a lackluster feature race. He struggled on the alternate strategy, but now that he's right at the front of the field, he has a real good opportunity to start showing some pace.
Yeah, let's have a look at that then. Keep an eye on California, particularly going through the second half of this one. It's going to be intriguing to see where Toxic gets up. Evo's now retired from the race. That's in the pit lane as well, I believe. Yeah, Evo now out of proceedings, and that's rather unlike him, so I'm a bit confused by that. But we're just going to keep looking ahead then. So Larkin's going to grab onto the back of the field. He now runs on super soft tyres, and we saw, though, No, I think that's it is a strategy call that I think I would have made in his position. But what's going to be interesting is that we saw with Verstappen particularly in the feature race towards the end, he gained dramatically on the race leaders in the first few laps, but towards the end he started to lose his momentum, started to lose his pace, and actually the likes of Toxic and Campbell started coming back at him in the last 2 laps.
Yeah, so I'm wondering whether Larkin is... I think the only way, obviously, Larkin can't use another set of medium tyres because he doesn't have any left at this point in this evening. So Super Softs are really the only way he can go. So I'm maybe wondering, with the Super Softs, he'll try and gain as many places at the start of this safety car as he can. But for a little bit more carnage like we had in the previous race, maybe hoping for penalties for people around him, for him to not get a penalty and for other people to do so. Maverick's into the pit lane as well, so that will be a place for Larkin, but also Maverick has bit the bullet and gone for something different. Maverick's not had the pace so far this evening at his home round. He would have been hoping for a better result so far. He's also got a damaged front wing as well, so makes sense definitely to come into the pit lane and try something different. So he's going to go onto the Super Softs as well, so look out for him to maybe gain some places as well. And like I said, we had so much carnage in that first race. I'm wondering whether both of these guys are banking on the same thing happening and they can gain in that sense.
Yeah, I think that is actually something, based on what we've seen tonight, that is certainly something that I would bank and bet on. So keep an eye out, see if they can try and make any progress with that. Larkin and Maverick, if they can try and move through towards the latter half of this race. I expect that we'll get back to racing on this lap. Larkin is just about to join the rear of the safety car queue, and I expect the Maverick will join onto it as well. So then Lando will be left dictated, and the nature of the last sector of this track means that compared to, I'd say, most other circuits on the calendar, Lando has a lot of options in his decision as to when he's going to go when the safety car comes in.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah, like you say, that the run to the line coming out the final corner is so short that you can go pretty much anywhere. The safety car is quite long. It's one of the longest sectors on the track, actually. This one is the final sector, so he can go really anywhere from midway through the long right turn hander all the way to the exit of the final corner. I don't know where I would go in his situation. I'd probably go before the penultimate corner just to give yourself a little bit of a buffer coming out of the final corner, but we'll have to wait and see what he does. It all depends as well whether Maverick does catch the back of the safety car queue in time. He hasn't caught as of yet. Will the safety car come in at a late time? We have seen this a few times this season where someone at the back of the field will catch just in time in the final sector and the safety car will decide to dart in at the final moment. Let's wait and see. All depends on whether Maverick can get there in time, but I don't think he will be able to, so he might be going for yet another lap, which puts even more strain, especially on Toxic, the only person at the moment with a time penalty, still with less laps to gain on it because of it, unless that's for other people around him to get penalties, means that he's really going to struggle now it's even more of a struggle really for him to gain as many places as possible.
Yeah, the safety car has gone past the pit lane, so we will get another lap, rather painfully, I must say. So we're going to have to go rounds again behind that safety car. And yeah, as you mentioned, it's just less time for Toxic to make up for that penalty and less time for other people in the field to get penalties as well and try and offset that. So Toxic's in a rather difficult position. It really hasn't been a great night, and he must be thanking his lucky stars that he has this championship lead already, so that if he does have an off-form night like this, he can get away with it. So at the moment, Toxic still runs in a solid 4th place. He does have a pole position, so I still think he'll get a decent haul of points from this one. But yeah, we're going to keep an eye out then. So Lando leads the way, Miami in second. The field now as one, and we'll get back to proceedings. Green flag racing at the end of this lap, meaning we will have 6 laps for these drivers to decide the order here in this sprint race. And it's going to be so intriguing to see where everyone turns out. Definitely keep an eye on Larkin and Maverick, how far out the field they can go on those Super Softs. Remember, it's a 2 compound tyre gap, so the gap in terms of performance is absolutely huge. So let's see if they can try and make the most of that then, and really be opportunistic with their overtakes. We've seen Larkin move through the field great just tonight, and I have seen Maverick, his overtaking capabilities as well. So keep an eye out. If they can be clinical with their moves, it could be very, very hard, very, very good news for them. But I think just in front of him, you have J. Cole and Zenma, 2 highly experienced drivers, and they'll probably provide quite a tough fight to start off and maybe make their progress initially a bit more difficult.
Yeah, I was actually going to say safety car is confirmed as coming in at the end of this lap. I was going to say I'm surprised that neither Jacob or Zaldimer tried to come into the pit lane at the end of the previous lap. They probably would have recaught the safety car in time, because the only reason Maverick didn't catch a safety car in time is because he had a front wing change. And obviously front wing changes in the Formula 2 cars are very lengthy. So I'm surprised neither one of them went for the alternate strategy with only about 6 laps to go in this race when we cross the line. So the Super Softs, while they will struggle at the end of the race, should make it to the end of the race pretty easily, I would say, in terms of tyre wear. But now it all depends on when does Lando go for the safety car restart. Here comes the safety car then round the penultimate corner. He'll dart into the pit lane just coming before the final corner. Now when does Lando go? He's keeping it at a relatively high speed through this penultimate corner. Now it all depends on when he goes. It is going to go now, like I said, just before the penultimate corner. Exactly like I said, and he's a little bit wide actually through the penultimate corner. I think he almost caught himself up by how early he went, but he's got a good enough gap back to Miami for the safety car restart. So Lando leads them across the line. We are back green flag racing. We've not had a lot of green flag laps in this race. Lando goes all the way to the pit wall to try and break the toe. Miami down towards turn 1 is not going to be close enough. Verstappen might be close enough for a lunge up the inside, but he's not close enough into the braking zone. Anyone in behind close enough to make a move? Chill was the only one thinking about it on Spag. Larkin's already going for a move on Zaldimer, so he's down the inside and made the move stick already. So Larkin's up to 13th place. Zaldimer drops the place. Larkin's starting to make moves through the field. We'll have to wait and see how this one continues for him. Further up the field then, Toxic swarming all over the back of Verstappen in the S section, but there's no passing sections in this first sector of the lap apart from turn 1, so he had to get the move done before the X section if he wanted to get ahead of him. And Lando already with a penalty. We've only had 2 green flag laps in this race, and once again, just like the feature race, Lando is the first one to pick up a track exceeding penalty. So Lando then our race leader, 3 seconds. Toxic with a 5-second penalty as well. So my word, Lando again making a little bit of a mistake, because my mic is repeating a little bit in your mic, unfortunately, Daka. But yeah, here goes Toxic going for a move once again on Verstappen around the outside. Is he going to get this move done down towards the braking zone? He can't really brake very late because Miami's directly in front of him, and he nearly runs clean into the back of the ART. Verstappen's going to hold the pace, and Toxic with another penalty. 8 seconds worth of penalties for Toxic now. This race just continues to go downhill for the Prema driver.
Yeah, it's really as Campbell makes a mistake as well. Coming at turn 13, shots to held that one together. Tim though was almost onto the back of him. Campbell did make the move stick just earlier on, and now runs 8th place, trying to make a recovery drive in that sprint race. Keep an eye out on Campbell, the sprint race expert. Maybe will come through for once with a feature race victory, not sprint race victory. As now up in front though, Verstappen ran very wide, and Toxic is lining up. And Toxic now with 8 seconds of penalties, and with only 5 laps to go, is really going to have to try and make the most of that then. So now, Toxic in that slipstream, looking at him there. Is the move going to come into turn 1 there? Verstappen does not cover the inside line, so Toxic makes the lunge. Can he get that one stopped and turned in there? He makes the apex. Verstappen out wide on the outside, does not find the traction, does not find the grip, does not find the momentum, and has to yield it into 4th place. So through goes Toxic. Miami out in front of him. Lando got a penalty on the last lap, but he's flying in less than 2 laps. He's put on a 2-second gap at the front, and he may well, despite a penalty,
Spag.
he could be heading to the first one. Is Spag now battling Verstappen down the inside. He makes the move stick. So Spag opportunistically got through. Chella's looking at him as well. So Verstappen is struggling greatly at the moment. Then he coming under pressure from his QBR mates. So now Chella's looking at him, heading in turn 11 there. Verstappen again gets a little bit locked up, runs a bit wide on the brakes. Chell trying to get up to him. Verstappen in the Trident. Great feature race, but so far the sprint race is not going his way at all. So now, QBR Chell laying him up as they head into the air, but in the end, just 1 kilometre long straight. Chell to the outside is going to be brings very late. Surely he can't get that one stopped there. Verstappen will cover it off on the exit. And Campbell on the move again. Gets through in California after a disastrous start to this race. Campbell is now coming to the fore and has a battle, a run really at the race leaders already inside his Toxic down the inside of Miami. Can he get that one done? Miami carries the momentum, carries the speed around the outside. Toxic gets back underneath, tries a Max Verstappen style move, but it's not going to work out. Then he has to set it behind. Miami maintains 2nd place, is now Lando at the end of lap 7. Almost has the 3-second gap that he needs now.
He's nearly done it. Yeah, he's flying at the front of the field. Toxic tries to dive at the final corner. That Lafette Miami's run coming out of the corner. Toxic's going to get the move done before they get onto the straight. He moves back across in front of Miami down the pit straight. There's a little bit of contact. Miami trying to get to the inside line. Almost pushes Toxic down the straight. Trying to go around the outside of turn 1, but I think Toxic's got this one sorted. Miami just doesn't quite have the pace of the Prima Man. So Toxic up into second place, but still 8 seconds of penalties is going to drop him down the field at this point. Spag runs fourth and ahead of Verstappen. Verstappen now seems to have got these tyres working again. He's back up behind Spag, going for 4th place. Chill runs 6th and ahead of Campbell. Larkin's already 8th in this race. He's had an incredible safety car restart. He's gained at least 7 places since the start of this one. And now Verstappen with a time penalty as well, uncharacteristic from him. He's the next person to pick one up. So as this happens, this is exactly what Larkin needs, is the people in front of him to get penalties so that he can start to climb through. His next target is Campbell, and he's only 0.6 of a second back, and Campbell's not in anyone's DRS, so Campbell could be vulnerable, and Campbell's late on the brakes at the hairpin as well, so Larkin could have a run down the straight, but it all depends on his exit from the corner, and I think Campbell might be safe. Meanwhile, Verstappen's going to have a move on Spag. Down this back straight, Spag goes to the right, the left-hand side of the track, but Verstappen goes even further to the inside. He gets down the inside of Spag for the corner, but Spag late on the brakes around the outside. Verstappen, though, should have that one sorted on the exit. He gives room to Spag, but Spag doesn't get the exit off the corner. Verstappen's back up into 4th place, but once again, Spag running with no penalties. This helped him in the previous race. It's helping him at the moment. It will put him up into, I think, 2nd place, well, 3rd place in this race at this point. So it's helping him so far. We'll have to wait and see how this one continues for him. Meanwhile, further down as well, Larkin and Campbell side by side. Campbell cuts across Larkin in the run into the right-hander, but Larkin wasn't fully alongside, so he's able to do so. But Larkin looking very fast all over the back of that Trident car. Can't quite get to the inside for the penultimate corners. Verstappen runs wide coming out of the penultimate corner. He's continuing to struggle on these tyres, but it's back up into 4th place. Next target for him is Miami, who at the moment, Lando's still going to win this race because he's got enough of a gap back to Miami, but Miami's sitting pretty for another podium this season.
Miami doing brilliantly out there, but look at Larkin. Now he's attacking Campbell around the outside of turn 1. Campbell covered the inside line. Can he get that one done? No, he will. Hold on to it then and cut off Larkin on the exit. Maintained 7th place just for the time being. We have 3 laps to go now. Here in the USA, an incredible day to racing. It's been just as you mentioned it. Miami now with a penalty. We have 6 drivers in this race who have got penalties, and 4 of them are inside the top 4. That is rather remarkable statistic, and it does mean that they could be the door. And another penalty for Toxic. That's disastrous with the field still so close. And I think he's at the mercy of losing to Larkin again when Larkin was in the back of the field at the start of the race then. Toxic may well have been close to clinching the championship, but it has not been his day so far. So now we are onto the straight yet again then. Campbell has done well in this lap, but he's not done enough to get DRS just yet to defend him for the order of Larkin, who closes down this slipstream with the DRS, but I don't think it'll be enough, and he has to win it behind the Trident just now. So Campbell maintains 7th place, gets an all long tub and slides out the rear end. And look at 4S championship contender, still swarming all over him. Can he get underneath him? They head to turn 14, they head to turn 15, but Campbell is doing all he can to cover it off, cover all angles. Look at his left and right mirrors, cover the left and right side of the track, and hold on to 7th place for the time. Maybe gonna get out of shape, and he turned 17. And my, that was close to a spin, but he held it together just about. But look at Larkin 4S now swarming at the end of the turn 20. This battle is still on. Lando's lead is 3.6 seconds and buying another penalty. Looks rather comfortable up in the front of this race. Less than 2 to go, and now Larkin is attacking again. He gets up to Campbell then and looks to the outside this time yet again towards turn 1, but again the inside will be covered by Campbell, and again he will squeeze him out on the exit. He's doing a remarkable job of maintaining this 7th place, again just keeping him all behind. And Larkin, even on these soft tyres, maybe they're starting to go off, because at the moment he cannot get through, and Campbell still maintaining that 7th place.
I'm surprised Larkin's not going for this dummy move that we see quite often. Campbell's going right to the pit wall to defend. Larkin goes for the outside line, and it's almost virtually impossible to go around the outside of that corner. So why is he not going for a dummy back up the inside in the braking zone? I don't know. He could get the move done quite easily if he did that, but he's just kind of sitting and waiting, and at the moment it's costing him a chance of getting towards Chill and Spag, who is battling on track, who both don't have penalties at this point in the race. Verstappen has picked up his 2nd second penalty in this race, so he will continue to drop back as this race goes on. Tim in 9th as well has a penalty. He'll drop behind the likes of Jayco and California at the end of this one, so look out for this one. It's going to be all changed by the end of this one. Can Larkin get a move done this time? Down towards this back straight, you have the outside line, and again Campbell defends the inside, but he locks up. Can Larkin get the exit out of the corner? He's got a brilliant run. It'll be the outside for the next one. Can Campbell defend it? Again, Campbell very late on the brakes. He's going to force Larkin onto the curb, and again Campbell defends the line. Campbell's doing a brilliant job at defending. Larkin just seemingly too cautious in his overtakes. He wasn't cautious at the safety car restart. He's gained so many places, but as soon as he's caught Campbell, he's just not making the move stick. Campbell's defending brilliantly, but Larkin's just not being aggressive enough.
Yeah, and he cannot fight his way through. We have just a lap to go in this race, and he's running out of time. Campbell's still within a penalty as well, so Larkin will not gain this as it stands, and he makes an error as well, coming off the last corner. Verstappen now late in the day, trying to grab that third place, at least on the track. Looks to the inside of turn one, but it's half-hearted, and he will not draw alongside surely. Miami, that runs a little bit late, was cautious in leading him to space, was very up, as now a penalty for Lando, has actually put Miami potentially within his range, but Miami's penalty himself could really cost him a chance of maybe winning this race. He could still be on for a brilliant second place instead. At the back of the field, Alex has gone off, spinning round and spearing off. But down there at turn one, it has not been a good day for the LOA driver, the Univertuosi. Now we'll end this race surely without any points. We are now into the dying stages. Lando has made this race a bit more difficult than it needed to be, but I think he will still just about hang on. And how far down the field will Toxic fall? But all this battling away is helping him. And now, look at this. Here comes QBR Verstappen. Can he get it this time? He spent the whole race looking at the rear wing of Miami's car. But now, can Verstappen right to the death down the inside, try to leave Miami a little bit later on the break, a little bit more. Pitches into the inside line. Now has that optimal line going into turn 13. Holds it. But Verstappen, a brilliant time switchback. Draws alongside. Can he get to the inside line for turn 15? It's hesitant. And Miami is still covering it off. Covering all angles and looking at maybe even second place here. We'll see how it all unfolds. But I think that Lando may well just take this one. Around the final corner it's going to be an XL Lando is going to redeem himself for a disaster in the feature race. Comes through to win it. Toxic comes over the line in second place, but where he's going to end up when it's all said and done. Miami, a brilliant drive to second. Spagno jumps them all. Spag and Chill from nowhere have taken advantage and moved through and taken all those places. So in the end, a shocking podium. But Spag and Chill, who I have to say should have registered to us, they didn't. But they will get on the podium. Miami 4th. Campbell has to settle for 5th at the end, though I think he'll be happy with that. Verstappen was 6th. I believe Toxic and Larkin were 7th and 8th at the end then. What a day that was. What a sequence of races. And my oh my, what an evening. I'm going to need to lie down.
I really am. I think I'm getting a headache now. I've been shouting so much tonight. It's incredible stuff. What a sequence of races we had. But Lando then picks up the sprint race victory. Like you said, it's a bit of a recovery drive from what the feature race was, but he'll be disappointed that he won't get as many points as he would have done if he'd won the feature race. But it's somewhat of a confidence boost going into Mexico, which is the third penultimate round of the season, as I would say then. Lando, our race victory, our race winner, with 2 penalties in the end, still came home with a race victory. All of our top 4 on the road had penalties, so that's what saved Lando's race in the end. Without that, Spag could have won this race. Spag had a dreadful start, and that really cost him in this race in the end. The dreadful start put him out of play for the race victory. Spag ends up 2nd place though on the podium, one of his best results, if not the best result he's had all season. Chill on the podium from 11th on the grid. Miami picks up 4th, again another good night for Miami, 6th and a 4th place, he'll be happy with that. Campbell 5th ahead of Verstappen 6th. Toxic only 7th. What a disappointing night it's been for Toxic, but he still beats Larkin, all because of Larkin's pit stop in that early phase of the race. Jayco recovers to 9th after his spin. Zadam recovers to 10th after his spin as well. California picks up 11th ahead of Matrix in 12th. Tim 13th. Maverick could only get 14th on the Super Softs. He couldn't make the progress that Larkin was able to make. Alex, our last finisher, in 15th, and then Ibo, Killer Blue and Nolan all DNF'd from this race, unfortunately. It wasn't as crazy as the feature race, but was still a brilliant race. And again, hats off to Lando for picking up that race victory. He didn't make it easy for himself, like you say, but he had the pace to pull it off. He'll just be gutted that he didn't pull it off in the feature race. Yeah,
I think a little bit of an opportunity sliding there for XL Lando, but he still comes in with a very handy haul of points. We'll see if he can how much of a splash he can make in the final few rounds of the championship. We saw the guys that have vied for the championship all season, both of them, I'd say, having rather disappointing nights. Larkin did well to recover in that feature race, but didn't quite make the progress that we may well have expected in the last few laps of the sprint race. Ended up stuck down there in 8th place. Toxic after penalties ended up 7th. So a bit of a poor day for them. But yeah, incredible night, and I'm so glad, yet again, that I was able to commentate it alongside you, Aidan. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, yeah. Formula 2 has been absolutely incredible this season, and I'd just like to say that the commentator's curse continues. Toxic was our interviewee tonight, and it fell apart for him tonight, so whoever is going to be interviewed by us for the penultimate round of the season, then we apologise in advance, but your round's probably not going to go too well. But we'll have to wait and see how that one pans out. Just before we end the stream tonight, though, Decker, I'm going to ask you the question I ask you every week. Who do you think your driver of the day was today?
I think I'm gonna say there's. I could make an argument for Lando, but I think the mistakes in the feature race cost them. I'm gonna say I'm not sure if I'm missing someone obvious. I'm gonna say Campbell. I think he obviously drove brilliantly under pressure in that feature race, and in the sprint race after a relative disaster at the start, recovered very well, defended brilliantly in that race as well, and ended up scoring what I believe is a top 5 as well. So yeah, Campbell, I think, not the highest haul of points, I think, for a driver of the day nomination, but I think he really gets a good shout of just putting up a great performance in general today.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. Campbell definitely is going to take it for me as well. I think the only other person I could really make a case for would be Miami, because I don't think he really put a foot wrong tonight. He just didn't quite have the pace of the people around him, but it's definitely one of his best nights of the season as well. So he's the only other one I could make a case for. But yeah, Campbell, great feature in the feature race as well, and a great recovery in the sprint race. What could have been without that first lap spin for him. But that is where we're going to finish off the stream today, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning into the stream once again. Thank you to all the drivers for taking part in Formula 2. Once again, like I say, Formula 2 has been incredible all season long. It's going to be a shame when this season ends, but we'll have to wait for the next season as well. The next season is going to be just as spectacular, I can imagine, as well. So thank you again to Daka as well for joining me in the commentary box. It's always a pleasure to commentate alongside you, and we will see you again this time next week for round 16, is it? Yeah, round 16 of the championship. I just trying to remember off the top of my head. Round 16 of the championship at Mexico. That is sure to be another crazy race, probably full of penalties and full of a lot of overtaking as well. But from myself and Daka, it is thank you very much and goodbye.